Mhm.
All right, y'all. It is Makers Monday, and I'm Patrick Kofi Austin, and we are here to broadcast. I'm from my home broadcast studio today. Of course, we have James with us. What's up, James?
Not much. We we had a show tonight. Let me fix my camera. We're all disheveled tonight. We actually don't have a guest. The guest had to actually cancel, which is cool because we can still talk making, and I can still talk to you, and we can talk about Matchbox. Yep. And really, I had some pretty fun adventures this weekend. So they had a lot to do with making. So I'd be happy to talk about some of that too.
Yeah, let's definitely talk about that. And you were this weekend. Where were we? You were in St. Louis. Is that correct?
Yes, I was at St. Louis Fan Expo. Which, for people who don't know, I do a whole lot of cosplay stuff as well. So I like to dress up in costume and hang out and do that kind of thing on my weekends. And
well, wait. Let's rephrase this. You make the costumes for you and other people.
Yes, yeah. I do both, but I also always consider myself a cosplayer first.
Right.
Like I definitely fabricate a bunch of stuff, but I actually like being in costume and walk through and acting like characters and things like that too. But yeah, so like I said, we're kind of winging it tonight. I mean, Kofi's got his laundry in the background, so that's cool.
And that's actually my hat basket.
That's your hats basket.
That is a basket full of White Sox hats.
That is a lot of White Sox hats. I have a question. Do they all still have the tag on them?
They all still have the tag on them, except for one that it rubbed off. But the rest of them, yes, they have tags.
Oh man, what are you gonna do? That's awful. I don't understand, but I guess I didn't get that memo. I always take the tags off my hats.
See, there you go.
I know. I know you got it. Okay.
So just for people that don't know what he means, he's talking about those and those.
So speaking of which, that's kind of a maker's mark. There's tags.
Yes.
Why? Can you just explain to me and maybe anybody else out there that doesn't know why you keep the tags on there?
Really, I just keep the tags on them because one, I mean, they put them on there for when they make them and send them out for shipping, whatnot, for sizing and authenticity. This is an authenticity sticker.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then the other one's just a barcode, and I just don't take any of them off. But a lot of them, they have the authenticity stickers because these days there's a lot of bootleggers in the clothing and apparel line situation. And so if you go buy one and you see them probably hats at the gas station, they don't have these stickers on them. That means they are not real.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
And
so this legitimizes my hat as a real hat.
Yeah, as opposed to those fake hats that don't keep the rain off your head. Yeah,
That's right.
right. No, like, okay, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. No, I think everybody understands that. There's you can tell what brand made it and everything.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, yeah. Actually, that's a really good point. So when it comes down to like protecting your brand and your IP, from anybody, from all the different bootleggers and everybody else out there. I was just actually looking at some files on today. I was at work and I was looking for some 3D printed prosthetic hands, um, and some other things too. And literally, you always have to read the licenses on like how you can use it and how you're going to make it work. A lot of them, especially what's nice about it, the prosthetic hands, is they're like, yeah, you can use this, just don't sell it for the most part. But you can use it for whatever purposes if you need to make like that. And then the other nice thing about it is um, they, have a lot of support for those type of things, communities, which I've been deep diving in today. And then uh, the thing though that it always surprises me is they always have to have that like, hey, this is not technically a medical device, right? Like, please don't sue us. And actually, I posted today about making a prosthetic for somebody, and I got two people who messaged me and said, "Hey, be careful about that. Make them sign waivers or whatever it is that you can, because you could get sued theoretically." Like that's always been a thing. So like have them make it themselves. You can show them how to do it, but they technically have to make it themselves because if you make it and something goes wrong, then you could be liable. So that's crazy. I mean, that's one of those like I'm just trying to help somebody out, or other people are just trying to help out somebody that wants a 3D printed prosthetic or whatever. And for that to be something you have to worry about is it's kind of nuts, but it's good. It's good advice.
yeah. No, I mean, I guess, and especially in the medical field, that actually kind of makes some sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, I guess maybe the cool thing is hopefully someone that a business that makes those, and
Hmm.
and it is sad that this is the case. Or maybe you can find somebody. But this is like the perfect example of where that could come in handy for someone because everyone can't afford those. Like everyone can't afford
Oh
a
no.
prosthetic or has insurance and have things. And this is like one of those spaces where 3D printed products can come in handy for people where you can actually be helpful as a
Hmm.
maker to people. But
Especially because it's for a 9-year old, so she's gonna grow, right? So it's not like you can afford to buy a prosthetic and then a couple like months later, how 9-year olds grow, right? You
hmm
might have to do it again. You might have to do it again. So if you could have the same file and then even just upsize it and reprint it, hopefully, maybe that would work. I don't know. I'm just getting into it. There's a lot to it, just like anything on the internet. There are lots and lots of rabbit holes to go down. And it's one of
right.
those that I'm not trying to spend too much time into. I know more information, but yeah, it's interesting for
I
sure.
mean, it always interests me too, and I think maybe at one point in time we had the conversation about this on this show, or even I think we have off the show to a point, but I can't remember.
Hmm.
Like the trademarking and the sharing of these 3D models and prints is, you know, that's like almost the beauty of the whole modeling business. Like do people actually trademark some of their stuff
Oh
and
yeah,
and,
and
and,
that's
and make it a pay and like how can people tell that they're not
mhm.
getting a file from somebody
A
that
lot of it
is
is
just
going to
stealing
come
it?
down to NFTs, right? So, like a big thing that NFTs are going to be able to do is you're going to be able to NFT, and people have already started doing this. If NFT'd their files, right? So if you have like it's just like any other file, right? You can prove where it's with blockchain technology, which we've talked about on here as well. So all the
Yeah.
technology is kind of merging, right? Like 3D printing and NFTs are coming together, and then you can pay people with crypto now, and you can do all the different things that it's all kind of coming together, and literally like uh, I do think that some of the NFT stuff I don't really get behind, but that being able to track who's got what file and who originated with the file and who did that, yeah, that's what they're for.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
The smart contract and the
yeah.
tracking purposes of seeing what wallet has wallet. And I guess you
Mhm.
can't really force somebody to tell you their wallet address, but at the same time, at least you can kind of have a better idea. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the beauty of it.
yeah. I mean, and honestly, there's that technology is just gonna get better and better at tracking, right? And right now, it's just kind of somebody has to say, I think that file is mine, or sometimes they have, there's other ways of marketing it, but it's not nearly as trackable as an NFT is. Yeah, and then something else I was talking about. I did a bunch of panels this weekend, talking to a bunch of people, and one of the things I talked about was making money in cosplay. And most of it, not most of it, but some of that class was, hey, are you a fabricator? Like, are you even sewing or doing anything for like makerspace technology and or makerspace like community? All the stuff that we do. And then, a lot of people, I'm like, okay, so what you want to make money doing this craft. First of all, who here owns an LLC or a S corp or somebody else or something like that? And a bunch of people, like nobody raised their hand. There's like 2 people that raised their hand out of like the 30 that were in the crowd or so. And and that's it's fine. I wanted to tell them though that they really should start their own business for a lot of different reasons. But if you're going to go and buy all the supplies for all these things, you're going to go spend all this money doing this thing that you're trying to make money off of. If you start an LLC, then you have limited liability, so you have a bit of insurance on that one. And then 2, you can write off all that supplies that you do. You can write off a lot of like the learning that you do, and and you can even write off part of your house that you're renting or you own for that kind of stuff. So it's funny because it's just like small business stuff that we do here at Matchbox all the time. But I don't think that a lot of people actually get that. They just say, okay, cool, I can sew stuff, but I don't really. I'm going to go sew things for somebody, and I'm not going to pay attention to how much money I spent on the materials, or maybe if I do, I'm not going to write that off as my sole proprietorship, right? And so some people do, and it's great when you do that, but it is worth looking into. If you're somebody that wants to make money fabricating, which a ton of people do, especially off Etsy and everywhere else, you really do. You really should look into starting an LLC. It's only like $35 to file, and then there's like a few other fees, but it's not more than a couple $100 altogether.
You know what? You know what this sounds like, James? I think we just came up with something. We need to do a cosplay as a business class.
I ran that as a workshop actually. Yeah. At the Comic-Con, but yeah, we should do that here. Maybe not in cosplay, maybe just fabrication.
Fabrication in general as a business, because I think you're right. I think a lot of people do these type of things in their garage and making in their garage, and they do it and they kind of just sell little pieces here and there for people. But most of them could probably make a business out of it, and I don't think they see the benefits of it being a business.
The funny part about it is I'll be here teaching a painting class, like literally right in the makerspace, teaching a painting class. And people will always be like, hey, what I'm thinking about doing an Etsy shop, or I'm thinking about doing some this or that. And yeah, Bud says, fine, I'll get an LLC. Yeah, like exactly. Right. And I teach people this all the time. And when I'm talking, and they get to asking questions, and a lot of their questions that they have don't have anything to do with painting. It's always like, where do you think I could sell my stuff? Who do you think people would buy it? How much should I charge? All those things that I've dealt with for years and years and years, because that's what I've done as my other job. And this is like really common stuff to me, but really just foreign to a lot of people. And there's it's the same way with a lot of classes. So it is interesting to see what people like actually want to know. And a lot of times I'll be teaching this painting class, and everybody else will like stop painting and like listen to the answers. And I'm like, well, crap, I do actually probably need to do that kind of workshop. And then there's other people here at Matchbox that can help just as much or more in a lot of ways, like marketing and other things.
Right. What would you say is the number one question asked from a fabricator or a cosplayer, a creator, maker, especially in that space?
I mean,
what's the first question? What's the
first question is always like, where should I sell, right? Or how do I sell my stuff, right? And my answer to them almost always is Etsy. And I understand that Etsy is raising their prices again. And the thing about it is, I said this weekend.
I saw this weekend they have a nice new shiny commercial. So
yeah, they have a couple. They have good commercial too. Actually, I've been watching Hulu. I'm like, damn, this Etsy commercial got me right in the feels. Ooh,
it's a good commercial. But
it's a good commercial, but not even if they had bad commercials, but they really are really good at marketing your stuff. And it also is super easy to sell as far as like the communication back and forth with the customer. Things are really clear. I've sold on eBay. I've sold lots of places. I have a Shopify. Shopify is good. I can make that work, but literally Etsy is the place I started, and it's the place that I think a lot of small businesses, people who are just starting out, they need to be. It does cost more. There are fees involved. I would say that those fees need to just go right onto your prices, and you need to that your customers will pay more. It's called inflation, and that's how that works, and it's happening around everywhere. And honestly, if you're making the right products, your customers will pay that for it. And the best part about it is you're going to reach a whole ton more people and not have to do any like marketing work. So yeah, it does have a lot of faults as well, but everywhere does. Um,
Yeah, anywhere does.
yeah, that being said, as well, like it's hard because customer service is another thing people always ask about, right? Well, what happens if somebody doesn't like my stuff? They don't like your stuff. That's okay. You need to be okay with somebody not liking your stuff and somebody saying that it's garbage and your painting's terrible or whatever. And then you can either have them return it or you can say, so thanks for letting me know how you feel. And then that's about it. And if you get a bad review, like it can really hurt your your shop. But a lot of times people understand or they see, if you have a lot of good reviews and you have one bad review, it just people understand that person probably was really picky or
Right.
whatever it was.
Right. Or you just or in the marketing terms, if you know it was okay and they were just being picky and whatnot, it'll get buried
Yeah.
eventually.
Well, and the thing about it is you can reply to comments, and if it's like something that broke in the mail or there's some issue with it, of course you take care of it, right? But some people you just can't make happy, and that's I guess I learned that as I'm growing up, right? I can't make everybody happy.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
I definitely on the. I feel that as far as the making on my side of doing videos and
for
things like
sure.
that, or graphics or a logo, and they'll be happy with it, and then all of a sudden they're not happy with it 4 days after they've paid for everything, or they want a bluer blue, and you ask them
Hmm.
what color blue, and they don't know what color blue they want. They just want it bluer,
And
which
there's such thing as buyer's remorse too that people get, and a lot of times I found that happens not super often, but I can tell a lot of times when it's buyer's remorse because they'll literally buy it and then they'll say, "I need to cancel or I want to cancel," and a lot of times I'll just ask them why, right? And I'll spend a little bit, I'll like delay it a little bit, and then I'll ask them why, and they're like, "Never mind, just send it. I still want it," right? But there's that immediate like, "Oh no," and then they're fine, right? And most of the time, like I'd say 90% of the time, those people are completely fine and they're giving me good reviews and everything's good on there. But they just for a second were like, "Oh no, I didn't want to do it." Like, "Oh," but then it's fine, right? So my strategy on that one is just like don't immediately respond if somebody says that they need to cancel. You can do it the next day and still cancel it if you know if they still want to, but just give them a minute.
yeah, that makes sense. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
So while you're out in St. Louis at Fan Expo,
Mhm.
what other kind of makers did you meet out there that are cosplayers and things like
Oh well, I
that?
met. That's the fun thing. I met because I run this maker space down here at Matchbox, and so we have laser cutters and a bunch of other different things. So I like one of my favorite things to do is to walk around a convention and see all the different artists and how they make things. So there's people who are doing metal prints. There's a ton. There were like 5 booths that had different laser cut things. And the funny part about it is, unless I knew that it was all laser cut, you couldn't tell like that they were all this. Some of them, like there 2 or 3 of them, were wooden pieces that were obviously laser cut. But one guy was doing the night lights with a bunch of laser cut like acrylic with different colors, and he just had an awesome looking display. It had, and literally he had tons and tons of different caricatures and things that he's made, and it just looked amazing because it was all night lights, all different colors. Looked like a neon booth, and then like literally next to him was a guy who had done a bunch of like laser cut maps and laser cut like maps of fantasy games, and he'd done like little mimics and things like that. And I talked to each of them about like, hey, what's your process, how'd you make this, that kind of thing, because they all are there and they want to talk about it. And I love talking about that anyway. So
Yeah.
I was in heaven on like Thursday as people were setting up. I was like kind of done setting up and they're setting up, or right before the floor opened and stuff. I just walk around and just talk to people about how they made all the stuff, and they're all very passionate about it.
Right. That's awesome. And that's awesome to see. And I think, even I can't wait. I mean, you've been to a couple, I haven't been to cons, but now after being in the makerspace doing this show, I know the next time I go to stuff like that, or even now, like I even find myself like looking at crafts. Like I was this last week I was in Las Vegas, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of art and a lot of things. And I saw a lot of makers handmade blown
Oh yeah,
glass
yeah,
and with
yeah,
with like you said, like laser cut metals and things around it. And I
yeah,
have such a different appreciation for it now
for sure, for
than I
sure.
did before. Like
And I'll
before
tell
you
you
look
what.
at it and say, oh, that looks neat and that's cool. But now I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, they did this just like you're talking about. Oh, they probably used this tool. And like I didn't get to talk to any of them personally because they're just busy. But jewelry makers and things like that, you could tell that they're homemade,
Yeah, yeah,
very high end made jewelry. And Caesar's Palace, there's a guy who had all custom jewelry. And now looking at it, knowing and it was all handmade, now I'm like, oh, I understand the process of what he had to do more from doing the show and talking with people that make stuff, and it impresses me even more
for
than it ever
sure.
did
And
before.
the thing about that like always messes with me is I'll go around talking to people about all the stuff, and they'll say like, "Oh, I handmade this thing," and then I'll ask them how much it is, and their prices a lot of times are super low because they're just getting started, and they're just I mean literally I'll sit there and be like, "Well, that's worth way more than that," and a lot of times I'll of course I'll literally buy stuff from people when that's the thing because obviously it's a really good deal, and I know it's a good deal. And I'll tell them it's a good deal. And I'll also be like, dude, you can raise your prices. Like I'm telling you, as a consumer, like right here, at least from what I know, and it might be a little different, but I mean, I bought a dragon egg lamp, and it like literally is hand sculpted, and you can see through it, and you hit like the light inside of it, and the light's one of those. I know I've seen them on the store. Like I know exactly how the guy made them, but it's a light that like looks like it's fire and cracking in there, but it looks so freaking cool. And I bought it. It was like $100, and I understand $100 to a lot of people. A lot like $100 is still a lot of money to me too. But
Yeah,
for the handmade crafting and everything that happened, it's a full size dragon egg, and it had a cool stand, and he let me pick the different like the stand or the base and everything. It's one of my favorite things I've ever purchased at a con because I know I can't get it anywhere else. Right? I'm
right,
not finding that literally anywhere else. It's a one of a kind piece, which I love.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the beauty of this, and you know, and hopefully for people are watching this or watching this later, watching this now
Mhm.
or watch it
Yeah. Yeah.
later,
Yeah.
that that we are talking about, this is making appreciation show, I guess, because I think that I'm like I said, I mean, even for me as a novice before all this, starting to see what really goes into making these things and talking to people. I was already kind of impressed with people that made, especially cosplay stuff. We had this conversation before. I'd see it all the time. I never really knew what it was, but I
Yeah.
paid attention, thought it was cool. But now, like going past the part of, oh, it looks cool to, oh, like they had to do X, X, and X
Oh
to
yeah.
X to
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
part, just this little part look cool. Not like the whole thing and appreciating that and seeing that is even crazier. And even with, like you said, like some people look at these, go to these antique booths or these handmade
Mhm.
crafting booths and stuff like that, and they think it's, oh, look at this craft. No, bro, like they put some time and some really good effort into this stuff. Like, and hard for some, I guess, even the normal person to really appreciate it. I think sometimes.
Yeah. And quite honestly, I always tell people are like, hey, yeah, Bud's currently working on one of kind. He's not currently, or no, he's currently right now working on yes,
Mm.
and I know the guy he's working on that for. He may have been somebody who just turned 41 earlier this year.
I wonder who
Has
that guy is.
really pointy, spiky hair at the moment, and is talking to you right now. I don't know what's up with my hair. I wore my cowboy hat all weekend, so my hair is just like doing this. But yeah. What was I saying? Oh, something that we talk about in the cosplay community all the time, and it goes for makers too and fabricators, and I see it on the show. Um, it's one of the best parts about this community is specifically is it's kind of a mutual appreciation kind of. I mean, cosplay really is a mutual appreciation community, right? For the most part, you're not really competing with people. You're just like, that's awesome, and like, oh, you look cool, and so do you, and like, how did you make that, and all this stuff. And I see that as well for a lot of at least friendly people who are
Mm-hmm.
makers, right? And I'm really
Right.
looking forward to. We're doing a maker showcase here at Matchbox in July 23rd. We're going to be opening up the building and having a whole bunch of makers come through. And it's not just 3D printers. It's not just wood crafting people. It's a bunch of different people, but I always like getting all those people together just to talk about making. And it really does become a, wow, that's really cool. How'd you make that? Like, how long did that take you? That sort of thing, or just general admiration,
Mm-hmm.
which I've been part of other communities, and it just a lot of times it's not like that, right?
Right.
You're trying to outsell the other person. You're trying to do like it's more of a competition, right? Even when you're on a sports team, like a fan club or you're a fan of a sports team,
Yeah.
right? Then it is still kind of some competition because you want to beat the other teams. Like you as a fan base are like, sweet, I really want the Red Sox or the White Sox or
Yeah.
whatever's on
Always,
your hat
always
right
want the
now,
Cubs to
right?
lose.
Yeah, right. You always want the Cubs to lose, right? So, but that's still in my mind, that's still a little bit more competitive than
Right.
than I prefer to be, at least at this stage of my life. So I really do like that. I mean, just mutual admiration, kind of maker, fabricator, like attitude people tend to have, especially smaller businesses.
Right. And I'll agree with that just from, the parts that I've been, and I see that most of the time people are really, really open to sharing their techniques
Hmm.
and things like that, which that's really cool, because I'm not sure if that's in the art world. I think there are some of that, but a lot of, I deal with music, and there's people that do not share their mixing techniques. Like they don't, it's one of the things like, oh yeah, I know how to do this and you don't, come
Yeah,
to me, and they
yeah,
don't
yeah,
share
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Like, and I noticed in this community that people definitely do.
Well, so I don't think everybody always does either, right? So there's people who, if you don't know, you don't know, right? But for the most part, they do. I understand why people wouldn't. Um, I for a while people were like, why would you try to sell a bunch of like props and costumes to people, but then also turn right around and teach them how to do it? And then I started doing, and when and then I'd ask, I have done that for a long time. And the funny part about it is, I like literally did that this weekend, and I went to the costume like classes I was teaching, the workshops, and I would teach people how to do it. And then like halfway through, they'd be like, "Man, I understand why people pay more money for this," right? I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
exactly, right? And not to say that they can't do it, but now that they see what actually goes into it, like you were saying earlier,
Mm-hmm.
now they see the value of the things that like makers and fabricators make, right? So some of it is just getting that base level, that base education of like what goes into it and how much time it actually takes. And then people are like, okay, cool, I do see the value now, rather than
Right.
just picking up a wood like a thing or something and seeing like, you want $50 for this? That seems ridiculous. Yeah, but now I'm like, yeah, $50 for that's a steal. Let's go. And like
Right.
Benji's joking about going and picking up a dragon egg at IKEA, a dragon lamp at IKEA. Man, if they had an IKEA dragon lamp, I'm sure it wouldn't be nearly as cool as the one this guy made. But then too, he's saying that yeah, it's good. He's being Benji and being awesome. Thanks for watching, Benji.
There you go.
Yeah, thanks for putting that up there. Yeah. Um, so I do totally, I guess, want to share what goes into making, even though I'm trying to sell people the product in the end. It just
Right.
makes sense to me. Plus, people just seeing people like get it, seeing people
Right.
get it and learn it, and everybody learns at a different pace. Everybody's also good at certain things and bad at other things, in
Right.
making wise. And there's definitely things I'm also really bad at, right? Still to this day, after doing it for like a decade or more, I just there's some things I'm like, nope, that's just not my wheelhouse. I'm gonna have somebody else do that for sure.
Yeah, I could totally understand that too. Yeah, I think that works with most people's uh, line of work that they're in. There's certain things that they definitely are better at than others. It's just was it called self awareness? I believe Gary Vee starts. It says
Yeah, I
this.
mean, self
Have your self
awareness is important.
awareness.
And also, I mean, there's some things you're gonna every job, everything that you're doing. There's gonna be some things you're not good at, but you have to do anyway. Some things you don't like to do, maybe that you are good at, but you just like don't like to do it. There's that's why we call it a job. That's why people pay us money normally. Some people can get paid to do exactly what they love to do all the time, but that is very rare from what I've seen. I get paid to do a lot of things that I really love to do, but there's always some of those that I don't. That's okay. Like, it's better than a lot of jobs I've had.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
I can. I
Speaking
can.
of, I had a good question that came up this weekend. Uh, Kofi, tell me, what's the worst job you've ever had and why? We've asked this here at Matchbox too, but like tell me a story
Ooh.
about past Kofi.
Oh, the worst job I ever had.
Yeah, I'm gonna put you straight on the spot and interview you back like right now. Let's go.
Man, that's a tough one. Okay, worst job I ever had.
Mm-hmm.
I was fresh, just moved to Indianapolis, was looking for a job, needed a job. Well, actually, I was in between a job, had a job, and then like the company folded and whatnot. So I'm looking for a job, I need a job, and I was like, okay, I'll take whatever I can get. And I had a job being a carpet cleaner in Indianapolis. And it wasn't a very good company to work for. It was some, I was like, okay, I'll just take the job. It was $10 an hour at that time. That was a decent pay.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm running around with this whole carpet cleaner thing in my car, in my Pontiac at this point in time. So I could barely fit it in the trunk. Liquids everywhere. It always smelled like the cleaning solution and whatnot for a minute there. And it was just a bad job because, it was one of those get the coupon, $29.95, and you get your one room cleaned. Of course, people are like, oh, $29.95 is not bad. And get the other rooms. And a lot of places, there were just bad places. I'm going into like places that probably like when they needed the carpet cleaned, they needed the carpet cleaned. Like it was bad.
Yeah. I mean, if you're willing to call a carpet cleaner for one specific room,
or just whatever, like
the whole thing, I guess.
And I just ended up in the just
how much blood and puke did you see?
Okay, so this job, I only did this job for about 3 weeks.
Okay, and I also don't want to like rehash terrible memories, but I feel like
there were a lot. Actually, it's more, a lot of poop stains.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Pets can really mess some stuff up.
It was a lot of pet stuff, a lot of spilled, juices, things like that.
Sure.
One time I did go into an apartment and clean an apartment that was really bad. People were like probably about to move out, hoping they were going to get their deposit back, one of those deals.
Yeah.
And it was just filthy. You could tell it was like dried, places where people had puked and they kind of picked it up, but really didn't. It was stuck in the thing, and
gross.
And just
you
like
stop talking about this. I'm getting
gross stuff. Like so that was the worst job I've ever had. It was bad.
That that beats. I'm pretty sure that beats everybody I talked to this weekend that asked that question. I feel like you win. You had the worst. That's a terrible job. It seems like.
Quite honestly, that was the time I think when I was like, I don't think I ever want to do manual labor ever again.
You're like, nope, this Pontiac is made for driving, not dragging. Oh man.
Yeah, it was horrible. Let's see right here, buds. The worst job I ever had was waiting tables at Bennigan's. Oh, that's not that bad, but that can be, I guess.
Waiting tables can be bad. A lot of it depends on like your staff and bosses. Right. Most of the terrible jobs that I heard about, or the worst jobs, were because of the bosses. It wasn't really that much of the job itself.
Right.
Or people having their boss that makes them do super dangerous shit that wasn't stuff. I mean, it wasn't in what their job description was, that they still made them do it anyway. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Well, it sounds like Bud is in the world as Randall would say, this job would be great if it wasn't for the customer.
Yeah.
Let's see what Benji has something. First job I ever had was being a nurse at a hospital that had unsafe patient to staff ratio. Oh wow. Jeff Bob was a school nurse. Oh, paid trash, put students. That's gross, but I mentioned bartender.
Best job too is a good one. I need to start asking that too.
Yeah. What about you? What was your worst job, James?
Oh, I honestly, it was probably at a paper route that was like just full of hills and just terrible. And I didn't work it for very long. It was one of those like you said, I don't want to work manual labor that much more. And then what ended up happening is I ended up working that, and then I got lucky, and one of my friends got me a job working at Babbage's, which was
Babbage's.
right?
Wow.
Yeah. Back in the day, it was called Babbage's. Yeah, and that was probably one of my best jobs too, actually, because I was like 16 or 17. I was 16 actually. I started working when I was 16, and I was able to check out the video games at the time, which were like StarCraft and like all those computer games, and then like Super Nintendo, and it wasn't Super Nintendo. It was Nintendo 64.
Yeah, I was gonna say
So I was
64.
able to check those out, and the computer games you could just load on your computer, and they were fine
Right.
with you loading on your computer. And then you came back and you packaged it all back up, and then shrink wrap it, and then we resold it. But we were supposed and like but that was company policy that you were allowed to literally open up these games. They showed us how to like open the games without like making them like breaking any seals. And you were allowed to take these home and have like so many checked out, so long as it wasn't the last copy, right? Because
Right.
we need to sell it. But we were supposed to like know the games, so we were
Right.
encouraged to play video games in our like off time, and that's not that hard to convince 16, 17-year-olds to play video games like, for a long
Right.
time. So, yeah, I thought it was pretty great for that. So I went way from like worst job to best job.
Yeah, Babbage's, bro.
Yeah,
I
Babbage.
had neither either. I was like, wow, Babbage's.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
totally.
they did. Totally worked it.
I totally got beat up by the nerds that worked at Radio Shack. It was a war, Babbage's versus Radio Shack. No, and like even that job, it was like some terrible things when I had to take out the trash and stuff like that. And you'd think the trash at that store wouldn't be that bad, but people come in and dump all kinds of stuff in there.
Well,
The mall job.
and then the trash in the trash at the mall.
Yeah, the mall
Oh,
trash. But I will say working at the mall was super fun too. Like just
yeah.
because all the different people and all the different like it was just like this community of people, and we are way off topic. So let's try to get back to making things. But yeah, um, I'm really happy with the job I have now too. So that's definitely aside from Babbage's when I was a kid and playing video games. This is my favorite job I've had.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
but teaching people how to make stuff is also super rewarding as well.
Right.
And like you get to show people. So I've shown so many people how to use a drill for the first time, or how to use like relatively basic power tools, and then then they go. And not everybody does, but sometimes it just clicks for people, and then they're just like, oh, cool, this is I can use this, I can use this, I have this thing, and they skyrocket off, and now they are like doing something. Um, Most time, even out of the makerspace, they've even outgrown the makerspace. They'll come back, they'll be a member still, and like hang out some, but a lot of times they've gotten all the stuff that they want either at their own shop or somewhere else. Um, and it's just fun to see all that stuff go. And yeah, how to use zip ties, man. Bud's saying how to use zip ties. I love, if people who don't know, I love zip ties so very much for so many different things. I literally sat there and I think I did like 7 different workshops panels this weekend. And I definitely mentioned zip ties in every one of them. And every time people were like, wow, that I hadn't really thought of that. Or some people were like getting information on zip ties. And it made me very happy to hear that they were like, I get to see that feedback and then be like, oh, that does make sense. Why wouldn't I carry one in my pocket if I was trying to do some stuff? Yeah, dude. And then we have reusable zip ties now. That like you can press a little button and pull them out. And I use them all the time now. Those are my new favorite.
Well, and as much as I joke with you about it, like you said, it does make sense for especially the things that you're making for cosplay, especially in places where you can hide stuff, or if you need to tighten something without it, or
Well, that
it
and
makes total
also
sense.
just like even like what you do, right? You're sitting there doing
Oh,
VR things.
well, yeah, I have at one point in time I had a lot of zip tied cords, or now I
I
have just
bet.
different types of. And when I did music stuff and DJ'd, like
Yeah.
all my cords, I kept zip ties to wrap up my cords.
Right. And also, I mean, I've used them to like get photography like flashes to stand up on like stands that weren't really made for it. And we'll just zip tie it down. And it's just a really quick and easy fix to connect one thing to another thing, and then you can cut it off the end. And actually, my new favorite thing to tell people to do is like when you're building a costume and you want to connect like armor pieces to soft pieces that you want to be able to wash in the washing machine, you need to like put little loops. If it's like on your shoulder, you put like little loops here, here, and here, and then you can just zip tie through and zip tie to the armor, and then cut it off when you want to wash it, and then wash your shirt, and then put them back on. And you can put snaps, you can use magnets and anything else too. That's totally a viable thing, but everybody knows how to use a zip tie. Most people know how to sew a belt loop, right? So it's a very simple process comparatively to put in a rivet, or not that the rivet's super hard, but you get my point.
So would you say that the zip tie is Gen X's version of of the duct tape?
Hopefully, I would like to say that. I like to think that because duct tape is useful, but not that useful. Not
But not
nearly
that.
as useful as zip ties. And
Yeah,
I
I
will
just know my
straight go to
I just know
some
my
type
dad
of
used to duct tape everything. So
yeah. I'll go to some type of like rivalry match on that one, right? Like we can do what's better, zip ties or duct tape, and pull like we can get like trucks out and pull things. Do like try to see which one breaks versus two trucks and random things. I'd love to do a fun zip ties versus duct tape because I really feel like zip ties would win that one. First of all,
I have to agree.
yeah, yeah.
Unless
Um,
it's gorilla duct tape, then now we're
oh,
ooh.
what if it's gorilla zip ties? No, I don't know if they make that.
Ooh.
They just, you name it gorilla and then something else. That was really good branding actually,
Yes,
and that's something
fantastic
else
branding.
people talk about for like marketing and being a
Oh
maker.
yeah.
Your branding, right? Like picking your name and picking that kind of thing. If
Yeah,
you
how do you position yourself?
Gorilla Glue stuff and Gorilla, I mean, I don't even like the Gorilla Glue super glue, but I like a lot of the Gorilla Glue other stuff, and I like a lot of the Gorilla like brand things, and it is strong. A lot of it is good and strong, but like people just think it's a gorilla, man. It's such good marketing, such good marketing.
Yes, it is.
The fun things too, like if marketing is like puns intended, that's always that people whatever you can remember, right? Like we were talking earlier, Etsy has some really good marketing ads. Most of it is like right in the feels, saying you can't get it anywhere else. It's handmade. Like, look, you're gonna connect with all of your like grandchildren and everybody else that you'd ever want, and
Hmm.
like they really play on that human emotion, but then also like you can't get it anywhere else, and that's really,
Right.
I mean, that's really what it is.
Right. Yeah, that's I don't know. I saw that one with the table, and that table is crazy. And it has a little the chick, she's like skateboarding and like she just looks like she's skateboarding on some wood, and then all of a sudden she's sitting on her couch and she's literally been skateboarding the table, and the table's immaculate, it's beautiful. You
Oh,
know, it's
that's
probably like a
cool.
$4,500 table,
Oh, for sure,
handmade,
for sure.
wood, carved. It's a beautiful table.
Mhm.
I guarantee you every person that saw that commercial went to Etsy to try to find that table. And
Yeah.
but like you said, yeah, it's that's the only place you're going to find it because it's one of a kind type deal or very few.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, one of a kind, but they might make a couple more that are like that, or a lot more that are like it, but they're still kind of one of a kind type deal. What's Benji saying here? He wants to see a MacGyver challenge against James, my beloved duct tape against your zip ties. Let's go, Benji. Let's go. We need to make that a thing. That maybe we can do that like the Maker Showcase as an event,
I think that might
right?
be a
I
good
think that
event
might
for the
have to be
showcase.
something. I'm gonna have an impartial judge though, and that's gonna be hard because I feel like everybody's got some type of opinion. Maybe there have to be like actual challenges, like what I said, like hanging weights or something. We'll
I'll
figure it
have
out. We'll figure it out. Yeah,
to.
Benji, don't I like literally don't forget about this. We got to hold me to this. We should do that maybe at the Maker Showcase because I think Benji will be there too. Um, but
Totally
yeah,
see.
so I'm excited about that too. Let's talk about the Maker Showcase. So really, I don't want to say that it's a convention because everybody's like, it's not a convention, James. You're used to conventions. Stop calling it a convention. So it's not. It's not a convention, but it is a lot like a convention in the fact that we're going to have tables where people just are hanging out with the stuff that they make, and you walk around and talk to them about it, right? So it is a showcase in the fact that it's going to be open to the public, and we're going to open the doors to Matchbox. Hopefully, if it's a nice day, we'll open the big doors, and people are all there. We're hoping to have about 30 to 40 different makers of all kinds of different like crafts, and you're going to be able to walk through and just talk to people about what they make. And what I'm really excited about is that they're going to get to talk to each other, right?
Hmm.
And we're not really doing like speakers, but there's not going to be like a main stage with a bunch of stuff going on it. There's mainly going to be the just people out and about, but then there are going to be some of the conference rooms. We're going to have like panels, right? So there'll be a few panels of things going on, which is one of the things hopefully you'll be able to help me with.
Yeah,
But
we'll
yeah,
try to make sure I can make that happen.
yeah,
I will be able to make a showcase. We can try human powered wood.
yeah.
Oh, there you go.
That's one of Benji's jams right there is human powered
Yeah.
woodworking. Yeah. So I'm excited about it. I really am, and I don't want to talk about too much more because it's down the line. I'm still planning it. I'm still inviting people. But if you do know somebody who wants to go, or if you want to go, or if you know somebody you'd like to see there that's relatively local, we have people coming in from St. Louis, and we have people coming in from Chicago, and I think I want to say definitely Indy. There's some people from Indy, maybe some other places too. But it's not just local, but it is. It should be a good time for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, and yeah, Bud. I know you would be here. Bud's down in Texas, so yeah, he can't. It's a far drive for you, man. Far
And a
drive.
little far of a drive.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, where people were like, "Hey, do you want to come out to this convention?" And like MegaCon's happening next weekend, this coming weekend. And people are like, "Why aren't you guys going to MegaCon?" I'm like, "Well, because it's a like 14 or 16-hour drive." And they're like, "Why don't you fly?" I'm like, "Because we make stuff and we have to bring it with us." Right? You can't fly. You have to pretty much drive. You haul that thing or do something like that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, or that. Yeah, the shipping costs alone will break
Oh
you.
yeah, shipping it's rough.
Especially, I've seen your guys' setup,
Hmm.
help set it up, and that's you would lose money.
Yeah, yeah. We drive everywhere we can go, and really that basically limits us to about probably like maximum 5 6 hours. We've done
Right.
some further trips, and it's just not really worth it. It's a long haul. Probably would be at the certain places. And I mean, honestly, if I get invited to MegaCon to do panels and stuff like that, then I probably would drive down or fly, or like maybe just fly and not bring our stuff and just
Right.
go down and do it that way. I don't know. But I would like to go to some of those bigger ones, especially even down in Texas or Florida or in California. I've been to a few of them already, and that's fun. Did
Nice.
you said you were out in Vegas?
Yeah, I went to Las Vegas, so I did some remote working from Las Vegas last week.
Well, that's fun.
I
No
mean,
wonder it was
yeah.
so quiet in the studio here. No, there wasn't a Kofi.
Well, I doubt that's the case. There's enough people. There's enough people that chat it up and talk and
Yeah, we've actually
such.
had a lot of really good activity here. I'm pretty happy to see people coming more out and about to both in the makerspace, but out in main Matchbox as well.
Well, it's a beautiful facility. It's a nice facility. It's a good place to work. I'm going to tell everyone if you're watching this, I definitely suggest you become a member if you're in the area. I mean, it just
Shameless
really,
plug.
yeah, shameless plug. Definitely become a member. I mean, you can't really beat it. It's $99 a month, which is really nothing for endless internet, coffee, and the biggest thing I think most people don't understand about the space. It's the networking and the people you're going to meet while you're working in the space. I can tell you just from personal experience, I have definitely made more money from people that I've met inside of working in that space than I paid to be.
Yeah, that's
So if you are an
and made
independent
friends too.
worker or make friends, and if you're a remote worker, any of those things, you should definitely become a member of the Matchbox. And of course, the makerspace.
Yeah, I mean
A
that's
few more
we're.
dollars.
It's actually no more dollars. It's
Oh,
zero
now it's
more
no more
dollars.
dollars. See, now
No,
it's no
no
more
more
dollars.
dollars.
See,
It is
even
all
more reason.
included in the $99 a month. But you just have to go through a training to make sure you don't hurt yourself or cut yourself back here.
Yeah.
Or if you do, then we just what to do when that happens or whatnot. So, but yeah, no, it's a really good deal. You know, the funny part about that is, um, I literally one of the hardest things to do is to convince people that it is actually too good to be true, right? Because we're so used to like being like,
What's the
well,
catch?
what's the catch? Yeah, like where's the extra? You're right. I mean, I did that today when I went to like my kid's gonna try to learn of an instrument, and then we were like going in and renting the instrument for the first time and all this. And I'm just looking at her like,
Mm,
so it says this much here, but how much is it after that? How's renting work? When can we cancel? Like you're just looking for all those. What's the catch? And what's nice about actually Matchbox is it's $99 a month, and you can cancel anytime. And literally, it's worth it. It's 100% worth it. And I have to tell people all the time, like, no, man, it's everything. Like you get to use the space. It's 24-hour access. Like, come on in. It's fine. And honestly, if you just use it a couple of times, like a month, it's worth it. Really, And the people who use it every day and are in here all the time, they're getting massive money's worth, in my opinion. But
Yes.
again, like I'm a bit biased since I do work here, and I do want people to come in and say hi and actually like
Well,
learn.
I'm not biased because I don't work there. I just
That's
there
true.
a decent
It's
amount,
true.
and it's worth it.
Yeah, and that's I also hear that a lot from members too. Like there's a lot of members who have just nothing but good stuff to say, both about Makerspace and about Matchbox proper or whatever you want to call it. Um, it's just and we can't get in. I can't tell people enough how much like that means to me. Right when I hear people say like literally this place changed my life. Like wow, that's pretty awesome. And I usually don't talk about it too much either because it sounds kind of ridiculous. Not ridiculous, but I don't
Yeah,
want to
you
be
don't want
like
to pat
I
your guys'
change
and you
people's
don't
lives every day. Yeah, no, like
right.
that's not true either, right? But every once in a while it does happen. That's cool.
That's awesome.
I am not a nurse or a doctor or somebody who's literally affecting people all the time. I do help teach people how to do stuff, and that's cool.
Yeah, still a big shout out to all the nurses and the doctors
For sure. That's what I'm
because
saying. Like, man.
it's like
Oh,
they've been through the ringer
an
and being
ambulance
on the quietest
people,
quit, we're still going through the ringer.
you still
So
are definitely going through the ringer. And there's so many people out there that are like always impressed by like EMTs. Right?
mhm.
Literally we were driving back this weekend at like 1:30 in the morning. There was a cop car flipped over, by the way, on a roundabout over in West Lafayette actually.
Wow.
We were and the whole place was blocked. We had to back up and get out of there or whatever. But like they had everybody on scene, and I was like, it's 1:30 in the morning. There's somebody flipped over. I have no idea what's happening, but like all these people had to just like rush right to the aid, and it always reminds me of every time I see like an ambulance go or anything. These people are saving lives and being awesome every day, and I really will say, um, as much as I like doing what I do, sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I could help more, right, on that one. But I help some, but I do. That's always kind of one of my like. I do wish I could kind of help more with that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the one good thing is that you can because there's and as we know, there's people that come in there and prototype stuff all the time for first responders and products and things like that could be used for emergency purposes, which is something.
Yeah, there's that, and also just as technology in general is growing and more people are learning about technology, hopefully that can save some lives and better the future for everybody. Because of course, everybody also is freaking out about climate change and everything, which we should be because it's actually happening and having issues. And my perspective is like I really hope technology saves us, right? Like I'm a progressivism type person. Like let's go. That being said, I hope it does, right? But then there's a lot of stuff that by making a lot of technology that we have, we've also been hurting the environment quite a bit,
Right,
right?
creating.
So that I mean, but the problem with it, and I think the biggest issue there, and I'm just going to go into it with you a little bit here, is you know, even if one or two or three of like very powerful people are like, hey, I really need to stop doing this altogether. There's a couple other the world's not run by that many people, but there's a lot of different people in decision making powers, right? That you have to all convince. So what I'm really kind of scared about is the fact that like you have to convince every one of those people to like stop doing the things they're doing that is making a bunch of money. And I want them to all stop. Like we all want them to like do good for the environment and everybody else. But also, what's the right thing too? I've talked to a lot of people who go to like the like environmental like summits, right? And they'll say like they'll just sit there for the entire summit arguing with other people who also agree that there's a problem, but arguing about what to do about it, right? Because nobody knows what to do about it, so they're at this like standstill. Like obviously there's things that we should do about it, but there's some people arguing back and forth. So though it's really messed up. I'm not trying to like end this on a downer either because we have to end it pretty soon. But I'm just saying hopefully technology can 3D printing and everything else with that convergence that we've talked about so many times.
Hmm.
Hopefully AI and everybody else can actually like come in and hopefully do well for us. Now we could end up in a worse situation than we started, but hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Hopefully we don't create Judgment Day.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, hopefully they give hugs and not punches. I don't
Right.
know. I have no idea how that works. I mean, we're making robots though. Like robots, that's not even a
Hmm.
decision that you or I get to make,
No, they're
right?
already being made.
It's just happening, right? And we don't get a say in whether or not there will be robots in the world. There's just going to be robots in the world,
Hmm.
right? So I guess I really hope that they're nice robots. Like I
Yep.
don't know what else to say.
Facts.
Yeah. Um, but that's been Maker Monday for like we just got I don't know, just got to talk about all sorts of things. I got to hear about your worst job. What was your best job?
um, can't really say I've had a best job. There's
You
been
were
several jobs I've liked, but a best job.
okay.
I mean, I kind of like what I do now.
Yeah.
There's other parts, there's been other jobs that I've liked. I can't really pick out a best job. I mean, I guess my best job I would say is when I was just an entrepreneur for myself. Um, that's if that's one to say it. It was hard, and I've done it several times, but I really liked that thing. But with anything being an entrepreneur, funding and things like that goes into it. It's just one of those things. But entrepreneur is my favorite job. And even with the job I have now and jobs I've had, I still always was in a job where entrepreneurism was a good thing to have. So I think
Oh,
that's that.
for sure.
Yeah.
And like there's everybody knocks it and then they try it and it's really hard. And don't get me wrong. That's there's yeah the a lot of people are very much entrepreneurial like you and me, but still work a job that you're getting paid to do at some point, right?
Right.
Because we need to and for whatever level. But it also
Right.
it helps to still have done that and have that mindset. I feel like,
Oh,
and I
and
feel like
I'll
that's a good
probably will
mindset.
do it again at some point
For
because
sure, for sure.
why not?
When I retire, whenever I retire, I'm not going to
Yeah.
probably stop working, right? I'm
Right.
just going to do
Never.
something on my own. Hopefully,
Right.
maybe we'll see.
Exactly.
If I make it to that age, I'll be happy when that happens. But yeah, cool. Um, hey Kofi, thanks a lot for talking to me.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for
I
having me.
know.
Thanks, James, and thank you guys, and thank Matchbox and the whole team there for letting me do this show too. I really appreciate that. And we normally are in and out, and we don't talk, but I want to thank you guys for letting me be a part of this.
Oh, for sure. Because here's the thing, man. Like I've said before, I don't like doing anything alone. First of all, and second, even if I'm sitting there talking and asking a lot of questions, like you're one doing all behind the scenes, and then two, you come up with a bunch of the questions and have a different perspective on like if you don't understand how they made the thing, but I do, and vice versa, right? There'll be people who come in
Hmm.
and talk about music and other stuff that I'm like, I don't know how that works, right? And you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, man. So I like it. We're a good team on this for sure, and I've learned so much doing this, and I don't want to stop. And honestly, unfortunately, we had a couple of weeks that we didn't do it because we had to, or because we just couldn't. And then we did one last 2 weeks, and then we're doing
Hmm.
this one, but our guest had to bail. But we actually do have a couple good guests coming up that are scheduled. So I think for the next like 2 times at least, we have pretty rock solid guests. And then when I say that, and then like next time, things always come up, and that's totally
Yeah.
fine.
It
But
happens.
also, if anybody does know anybody else that wants to be on the show, or I can probably have some people back on the show. I feel like that's my next play. There were people we talked to like a year ago or over a year ago. I'd love to catch back up with them and see that. So, um, thanks for watching, everybody, and really thank you for being there. For not just now, but a lot of people have watched us over the time. It's been really fun. I hope to keep doing this for a while. And with that, we're at time. So we'll see you next time. See you in 2 weeks.